a perfect game for Roy Halladay.
Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of the Phaithful Phanatics podcast, everybody. It's a celebration week. Victory Thursday. Sixers make a splash. Oh, and it's Dallas week. I'm fired up. I don't know about George, Gant, and Snap, but I'm fired up on a Thursday night. Fellas, how we doing?
I feel like we haven't been like this celebratory in so long. I feel like it's been so long since this has happened. We have so much good news, a lot of hype on Sunday coming up. It's gonna be a good ass weekend.
I'm more excited about the Sixers this week than honestly the Eagles. Still,
You're always more excited about the Sixers.
No, but
Yeah,
I gotta eat a chip. I didn't get it today. I gotta eat a chip because the Eagles didn't score 30 points against the fucking Giants, and they almost lost to the Giants. So I'm not really excited about that. I'm happy they won, but I'm not excited how they looked against the Giants.
And you got to eat a hot ass chip.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a lot of milk. I really don't do spicy food good at all. I was like so confident in that bet. I really didn't think they were gonna fuck that up for me.
Good big throw. Gant, how we feeling?
Oh, I feel great, man. This is, like George said, this feels like a feeling we haven't had in forever. So it feels great.
Well, we don't get many Victory Thursdays, Victory Wednesdays, Mondays, whatever you want to call it. It's a Victory Thursday here at the Phaithful Phanatics podcast. But before we dive into the Eagles' 22-21 win over the New York Giants last Thursday night, we have to start with our Philadelphia 76ers and have an offseason Sixers. My God, guys, they are pressing all the right buttons so far. And you said it perfectly in our chat the other day. They're pressing all the right buttons, and it's very exciting, but the work hasn't even started yet. But I guess the most exciting part to me is now you have the right staff in place to where I can now trust what you're about to do when the work gets started. So, again, I'll start with you. Daryl Morey, Doc brings over Sam Cassell from his Clippers staff. They bring over Dan Burke from the Pacers, who had some choice words for the Sixers a couple months ago, and Joel Embiid had a little bit of fun with that on Twitter. But again, how are we feeling with the addition of Daryl Morey, who is not the Sixers GM, but will be the president of basketball operations for them for the next 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I'm really happy. I like the coaching staff. I like Daryl Morey. I mean, you have to assume he's coming over here not to be a guy in the shadows. He's going to have a ton of say. But like you said, it's only the beginning, and right now we're not in the best predicament. We have 2 contracts that are abysmal, but we do have 2 star players. This is a huge, huge offseason. I think we did a lot right, and we're only, like I said, at step 1. So now everything has to flow after.
Snap, I'll give it to you now, buddy. Floor is yours.
I have not – I'm, like, happy to be a Sixers fan. I don't know if you've seen that tweet by me, but I literally tweeted with that when that news came out. Like, I'm just happy to be a Sixers fan again. It's insane how happy I am about this news. Like, you got arguably everyone on Twitter, every Sixers fan has been screaming since the day he resigned from the Houston Rockets, go get Daryl Morey. We knew in the back of our minds they weren't going to fire Ellen Brand for him. We just knew that because I felt like they had too much invested in him, and it's only his second year, third year, whatever it is. But the fact that they still fit a position for him and brought him in, it just adds to the great moves that they've been making all offseason with the addition of Sam Cassell, with the addition of Dinwiddie from Pacers as the VP of basketball operations, which is an underrated move. They brought in David. I always mess up his last name. Jaeger, whatever you want to say.
Great
Who
move.
cares? I've always been a big fan of him. They brought in the Indiana coach,
Dan Burke,
who's a very good defensive coach, which just adds to what we should expect this team to be. And that's a top 5 rated defense next year. So, I mean, like you guys said, they haven't even scratched the surface of this offseason, yet they've made every right move to correct this front office while getting the right coaching positions in place. I just couldn't be happier.
George.
they've been absolutely flawless getting the front office department like back together and back to what we want. Like getting Daryl Morey, that Woj bomb was the greatest thing I've ever seen. I know you all have his notifications on, so seeing that, like absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we're gonna start hopefully valuing draft picks. We're going to start – maybe the analytic department will get even better now. And like Gint said, you have 2 terrible contracts and 2 star players. It's the perfect situation for Daryl Morey, and he's going to be overseeing all basketball operations. Like he's gonna have a voice. He's gonna have a really big voice in the room. So this is absolutely perfect. This offseason has been like just so fun for the Sixers, and they haven't even started yet. Like it hasn't even started. This is just like the cherry on top for the front office, and it's going to be exciting. Next year, hopefully, it's going to be even more exciting. We're going to see some more moves this offseason. Just getting started. Like that's pretty much it. And Daryl Morey is just an absolutely perfect hire for this team.
Another thing to add in there is we're not even mentioning the fact for all my processing fans out there and like the TTP guys, the Hinkyites, like this is Sam Hinkie's mentor in the building. Like I just can't, I'm just so ecstatic. Like I've never seen so many people since we've made these big trades and they fell apart, like with the Jimmy Butler trade, the Al Horford signing, since all that's gone down and it blew up in our face. I have not seen so many people say trust the process again. Like it just gets you amped, especially with Joel Embiid quote tweeting the report that Dan Burke is now a part of the team and he ripped him like 2 years ago. You can see the fun is there. Like that little thing just makes you excited for the season. Like I'm ready to have fun again. Like I'm just so excited. I'm so excited.
Look, to me, I guess final thoughts here on the signing, because while it is a great signing, the best signing of the offseason, there's not a whole bunch you can put into words. But at the same time, the way I look at it is you now have a great coaching staff led by a future Hall of Famer. You now have yes, he's not your GM, but you have one of the best GMs in the league in the building running your franchise, essentially. And you have 2 franchise cornerstones, star players on your roster. It's a weird offseason. Like it's going to be shortened. Nothing's set in stone yet, but there's talks of it starting around Christmas time. Some people are for it, against it. Free
More
agency
likely after MLK Day if the players get their way, which they usually do.
When does free agency start? Does anyone know here? Or
it's
Not the exact date.
Yeah,
but like, there's only like a couple weeks or a month and a half between like when free agency starts till when like the season would start. So it's a very shortened, weird off season. So I guess my final thoughts are if there's an front office personnel that you wanted to like make the right moves in this weird off season and get you back on track right now, it was Daryl Morey and the signings the Sixers have made. We continue to say it. They pressed all the right buttons. Now let's hope these guys can continue to press the right buttons going forward.
November 20th, Dill.
November 20th. Okay.
shit, that close.
So literally like 3 weeks.
I read a report though that a lot of players have already agreed to terms with a lot of teams. There was apparently a report about that a lot of players have already gone behind the league's back and like already agreed on what they're doing next season, which I'm interesting to see how fast free agency starts this year.
Day one is going to be exciting. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah, throw your bet out. One last Sixers point, because you mentioned the 2 bad contracts. Toby, in my opinion, isn't going anywhere, especially for the point that his best year of his career was under head coach Doc Rivers. So I am excited to see what Doc can get out of him in this offense. So, but the other one, I think everyone's on board of we need to drop this off somewhere, being Al Horford. Well, what was the prop bet that you had seen if Al Horford doesn't play a game for the Sixers?
No, yeah, it was will Al Horford's first game this season be on the Sixers or not?
Okay.
And you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would have said honestly last week no, but I thought he would go to Sacramento, but David Jorger and Buddy Hield do not get along, so I'm really hoping that does not play a factor in this. They were also in Sacramento, which is an absolute trash can of an organization from top to bottom. But if that signing of a coach is the reason we don't get Buddy Hield, you have to go hand in hand on, well, maybe that wasn't the right move.
I don't think it will, because now you look at it as, okay, if him and Buddy can just sit down and say, okay,
Exactly.
that was Sacramento, we're trying to win a championship here. Put your differences aside, come help us win a championship in Philadelphia.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's not in charge. Like
Yeah.
It's not like he is in charge. Like
Well, Jorger wasn't either in Sacramento.
that's correct. You're right. But I mean, I feel like it just plays a whole different.
No, I agree. Sacramento is just a toxic environment.
This is a big market city right here.
I just hope. The other thing you got to kind of think about though with Daryl Morey is there's a lot of other factors that he just brings in, like good relationship with Chris Paul, a good relationship with James Harden. Like I know that James Harden deal or a James Harden move wouldn't happen probably this year because I doubt they want to trade one of their 2 stars, which they would have to do in the process. And I don't even know how many people really want James Harden here, but it definitely is 5-year deal. He's gonna be here when James Harden is a free agent, and that's just something to really think about. But backtracking, Chris Paul also has a good relationship with Daryl Morey, and that's just another thing where you sit here and you go, oh, like, could they bring in a Chris Paul? Could they get in some veteran leadership, all-star caliber, Hall of Fame caliber point guard? Like, there's just a lot of options coming up this offseason.
Well, he's known for making big splashes, and it's hard for me to believe that he's going to come to a big market city that's trying to win a championship that needs a lot of roster reconstruction outside of 2 or 3 players and maybe not a big splash, but a splash. So, final thoughts. I gave mine. Anyone else before we move on to the Birds, because it is Dallas week and we're on a Victory Thursday here.
I'm good.
No one. No. Okay.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I could talk about it for another 40 minutes. I could talk about it the rest of the show.
You step in the right direction, and there's a lot of work to do.
Let's go. Let's start it up. Is it January yet? Like, I want a redemption. We just have
November 20th.
Celtics, and I'm ready to bounce back. I want the Celtics in the playoffs. The season hasn't even started. I'm just ready to go. Like, I am foaming at the mouth for basketball.
Let's go. Big shout before we move on. Big shout out to intern Dave for the cover art that you see up in the top right corner. That is our Philadelphia 76ers cover art. But boys, with that being said, did not mean to press that button. With that being said, let's shift gears to our Philadelphia Eagles and our new Philadelphia Eagles Phanatics cover art, brought to you by intern Dave.
You got them for everything.
Fire.
Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, they're all here. Phillies. But yeah, so let's shift gears here. Eagles, 2-4-1. Take down the New York Football Giants 22-21 last Thursday night. They trailed 21-10 with less than 6 left, really. And my takeaway from this game before we dive into the good, the bad, the ugly of the offense and defense, my main takeaway, guys, is that Carson Wentz flat out saved Doug Peterson's ass on Thursday night. Because in my opinion, Doug Peterson was on his way, if they lose that game, to calling his worst game as the Philadelphia Eagles head coach. It was a disaster. They come out on firing on all cylinders on the first possession. They do something they haven't done since the week 1 against Washington and most of last season, which is score a touchdown on the opening drive. They get Deshaun Jackson involved. He gets 3 touches. They move the ball right down the field, and the Giants, they go up 7-0. And from that point on until the final 6 minutes of the game, the offense goes completely stale. Was Carson Wentz perfect? No. He had a bad interception. He should never throw that ball. Quarterback 101, you don't run to the right or across your body to the left side of the field, although it did hit Travis Fulgham in the hand. So I guess if he completes that pass, we're all just saying, oh, my God, what a throw. But still, you don't make that throw. Outside of that, guys, I mean, the kid was unreal. He was 25 of 43, 359 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Oh, and once again, he led consecutive game drives to bring his team back for the 3rd straight week. He was close against Pittsburgh, no cigar. He was close against the Ravens, 2 points shy. He came close against the Giants, and he pushes the ball across the pylon. Doug Peterson was shooting this team in the foot, and Carson dug him out of a hole with 6 minutes left. So we'll dive into it all. George, I'll throw it to you first. What was your main takeaway from the Eagles' 22-21 win against the Giants to take first place in the NFC least for right now?
I love Carson Wentz. And if you hate Carson Wentz, I can't believe you hate Carson Wentz.
What do we always say? What do we always say? It must really suck.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It was 4 minutes and 40 seconds left. We're down by 11 points without Carson Wentz in late go Birds. Without Carson Wentz late in that fourth quarter, we don't win that game. That he put us on his back. He carried us to a victory. Shout out Carson Wentz. Literally that the whole takeaway of the game. The only reason we won that game is because of Carson. 359 passing yards. Obviously, it wasn't a perfect game for him, but he did what he had to do to win. And I feel like it's the same story every time they get a victory, which is not many, but it's true. And now we're set up in a way with the schedule where we can rattle off a few wins. The Eagles are getting healthier. Carson Wentz is looking a lot more like Carson Wentz every week. There's no reason why this team can't go on a run and be 5-4-1 and just run away with this division.
Look, before I throw the snapping in, that's just I've come to terms with it. Look, I know when the bonehead plays come out in them, aka that interception when he overthrew John Hightower, I really don't know what he was looking to do there. It's a bad play. I'm not defending it, but that is what you are going to get. And it's just, look, we're never going to change Carson Wentz haters' minds, guys. It's just not going to happen. Because why do people love gunslingers like Brett Favre and Ben Roethlisberger? You take the bad, stupid, bonehead plays with them, the interceptions. Ben just threw a couple interceptions against the Titans and almost let them come back up double digits last week. Okay, but when Carson does it, you just point to that play. I've come to terms with that's his DNA. You're just gonna have to live with it. If you want the Boston Scott throw, if you want the John Hightower throw down the sideline, you're going to have to live with him trying to make a play that maybe isn't there, because that's just his DNA. It's Brett Favre made a career out of it, guys. Ben Roethlisberger has done it his entire career. 2 future Hall of Famers, Super Bowl rings, and everyone loves him. And Colin Cowherd, I think, said it best, right? I'm not a Colin Cowherd fan, right? He made a point that Russell Wilson against the Minnesota Vikings was not good 95% of that game. He was good on one drive, the game-winning drive. And what did everyone say? They lauded Russell Wilson. Oh, my God, Russ, right? Carson Wentz, who wasn't bad for 95% of the game. He was 10-12 for over 130 yards and a touchdown in the second quarter with a QBR of over 102. He had the whole offense went stale for 2 quarters. He does 2 drives, comes back. I don't care if it's against the Giants. You play who's in front of you. You were down. I thought it was over with 6 minutes left. And you just don't get – he just doesn't get that same type of energy that these other quarterbacks get. So, good.
Yeah, that's one big takeaway, but I think one of the biggest takeaways is what the fuck is Doug Peterson doing? It's really ridiculous.
He was calling the worst game of his career, bro.
Watching him call that game was like sticking a knife in your eye. It was absolutely horrible to watch. It was just frustrating. You didn't know what he was doing. If we lost that game, it's on Doug. It's all on.
You want me to read off all the mistakes he made? Because I can.
Why not?
Now, let's start with Hakeem Butler. Do you guys know how many catches he has in the NFL? Do you know who Doug drew up a play for on a 4th and 3 when you're trailing in that game? A fade route. The same guy with 0 catches. He has as many catches in the NFL as the 4 of us do, guys. This was the second. Doug Peterson has ran a read option 2-point conversion play 3 times in the last 2 weeks, and it's gotten blown up every single time. Do you know what he said after the Baltimore game when he got questioned for running the read option for trying to tie the game up with a play like that? He said they were out of play. Yeah, he should have called a timeout, but he said they were out of place. So you have a week go by, and your first 2-point conversion attempt is a read option. The last 2-point conversion attempt, when Carson throws his way down the field for 2 straight possessions, do you know what he does on the 2-point conversion attempt? Oh, he takes the ball out of 11's hands and lets Jalen Hurts throw a pass. Second straight week, he tries to run a quarterback sneak, which, yes, if it's inside 4th and 1, it's perfect. No one's stopping 6'5" Carson Wentz. But Doug, you gotta know your players. This isn't Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey out there. This is your 7th makeshift offensive line in 7 weeks. They cannot get a push, and you're trying to run a quarterback sneak on 4th and more like a 1.5 yards or 2 yards, even though it says 4th and 1, because it was every bit of 4th and 1 plus some. Doug Peterson had his head so far up his ass the entire game, and Carson Wentz bailed him out.
Yeah.
Final takeaway, and the defense got 3 turnovers. So that's what I got. Gant, Snap, me and George have done the talking so far.
You can go, Snap.
Yeah, I mean, like you guys have said, I mean, Dylan just basically went on a rant for the whole game. I mean, I ain't got much to say, but yeah, fucking Giants, we played the Giants bad. If it wasn't for Carson Wentz in that pocket, I mean, we don't know. We definitely lose that team. The plays he makes and the way he's looked over the last few weeks, especially against good competition. I know I said they're going to put 30 points on him. They didn't. I mean, it's going to bite me in the ass next week when I have to eat a hot chip. But it's just good to finally seeing him. It looks like he's getting that rhythm. It's like Carson at the end of the season last year where he was just pulling shit out of his ass sometimes. Like, how are you going to hit a 5'6" running back in the corner over his shoulder in tight coverage like the way that Carson does? It's absolutely insane. He makes big play after big play, and you're absolutely right. If you want a quarterback that makes big plays, you got to live with the bad ones. And you're absolutely right again when you say, look at the Brett Favres, look at the Roethlisbergers. And to answer the question about how Russ doesn't get crucified like Carson, it just comes down to that Carson didn't win that Super Bowl that year. And if Carson had taken us all the way to that Super Bowl, I feel like he gets a lot less persecuted for that just because he has that pedigree behind him. So it's like, oh, well, you just got to trust your quarterback. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. That's the excuse they're going to make every time. Everyone knows that. Like, it's always going to be, oh, well, he has pedigree. He's taking them to the Super Bowl. He knows what he's doing. So I don't listen to the media when they talk about Carson making mistakes like that because I know what Carson can do. I'm an Eagles fan. I watch every week. I'm not a fair weather fan. I'm not a reporter for ESPN that watches all 32 games constantly and only takes away from probably highlights half the time they do their research. No, I'm not like that. I understand what I see. I see a great quarterback in the pocket, and if it wasn't for him, we would have lost last week. They even said, I think it was like the last 2 minutes or 3 minutes, the odds of the Eagles winning were absolutely like they were basically 0, and we won because of Carson.
Again, takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, there's really one takeaway. It's how good he is, and I mean, it's just amazing how you look down. Like, I'm just looking at the Philadelphia receiving section on ESPN and just all the stats. And it's like if you ask like a casual football fan that doesn't really watch many games, they could probably realistically name one person on this list, and it's Deshaun Jackson. And it's just what he does with little amounts is just unbelievable. Richard Rodgers, 6 receptions, 85 yards. Casual Eagles fans probably hardly know who Richard Rodgers is.
Great on that last drive.
Yeah,
Rodgers.
So it's just like
First names.
what he does with little talent will never cease to amaze me. Also, should I go to the defense or no?
Go ahead. Just your takeaways.
I got to say, Nate Gary had a game. He did 8 tackles, a sack. It was. I'm not going to be silent during his success. He missed that sack on the one drive that he blatantly had Daniel Jones hit and he whiffed, but he played well. He did, and I got
the Giants. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I would rather him play well against the Giants. Also like shit all the time.
Daniel Jones also got tackled by a blade of grass, but
yeah, that was amazing.
It was a little slippery, Dan.
I mean, we talk about how they couldn't get any takeaways. They get 3 takeaways. So, I mean, a 1-point win doesn't do a lot of justice to me in terms of happiness in this game. I couldn't believe it. Again, Carson won us the game completely, but there's a lot of positives to come out of that game, and it's going right into a big week.
The defensive line also played really well. Yeah, I thought the defense played.
Defensive line is just so good. You don't even at this point. I don't even talk about them. Like we just know what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
As long as they're healthy, you just don't even have to fucking worry about those guys. Yeah. That's probably the most reliable part of the team. Next to, actually, I'd call him more reliable than Carson. Only other part of the team probably more reliable is Darius Slay.
Yeah, who I think I saw a stat today that he allows 39 receiving yards per game.
I think the most he gave up all season was 59 to
Amari Cooper and him, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be so fun to watch.
We'll get into that in a second. But you know who I liked a little bit? He only got like a couple touches. That Huntley kid, the running back that they called up. He's a little spark plug, dude.
Yeah.
I like him. Corey Clement just took a back seat. Corey Clement's out of the game.
What happened to Corey Clement?
That injury just changed his career, man.
So, but yeah, again, I'm with you. And so, lastly, I guess to wrap up Carson Wentz's Eagles win, what was the whole question before the last 4 weeks of last season? Because that put a lot to end the argument. I feel like. Remember the whole does Carson Wentz make his teammates better and the guys around him better? That was a huge question mark surrounding his name. Then he goes on the 4-game win streak, gets them to a home playoff game last year with trash bags and lawn chairs around him. His 7th different offensive line with Huntley and Boston Scott as his running backs, with Richard Rodgers as tight end number 1, and then Travis Fulgham, who I like Travis Fulgham, okay, but it's still week 3 or 4 of week 4 of Travis Fulgham, Greg Ward, Jay Jaw, and Deshaun Jackson for part of the game. He does that. So yes, Carson Wentz 100% makes the guys around him better. He's a leader. He's a gamer. And the kid is special. I just don't get the hate. So wrapping up the Giants-Eagles game, you must really suck to hate Carson Wentz.
Huh. They woke up really mad on Friday morning. They woke up.
I bet you a lot of them went to bed too.
Oh, yeah. They were all over.
21-10, they went to bed. Woke up a little pissed. But anyway, let's move on because, guys, it is Dallas week. And I guess it has a little bit different of a feel because we are the NFC least right now. Dallas is without their starting quarterback and a beat-up offensive line, so it feels a little different. But at the same time, it still is that star. It's still a divisional game in prime time on national television. So I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. I'm ready for the Birds to take a vice grip hold on this NFC East division going into the bye week with then a chance to get back to 500 football club, which, again, you made a great point. We're about to break down the Cowboys game, but real quick, just say your point, because if it does come through where they do beat a Cowboys team that they should, they go into a bye week, get healthier, and then beat a Giants team that they just beat real banged up, and they'll be healthy against the Giants team, they'll be 4-4-1. You had them at 5-4 before the season started. So really, it's looked so bad, but if they're at that point, really, what's the difference?
I agree. That's why I said if you're 4-4-1, obviously that win is important in terms of the tie, but I don't see – and I get the jokes of the NFC East, don't get me wrong. The NFC East is historically bad, but I don't see how you can't make a push to where it's like, all right, maybe you're not a laughing stock. You might not be – you're still probably the worst team in the NFC that makes the playoffs, but you're not a team that's subpar 500 by 2-3 games. You know what I mean? So that's my opinion on it. We could be very wrong. They could drop this Sunday night. So – but that's just – you win these next two, you can make a chirp a noise. Not a lot of noise, not a little noise, a chirp a noise.
I like it. So, Eagles Dallas on Sunday night. Ben DiNucci from James Madison University is starting for the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday night, I believe, unless a miraculous comeback from Andy Dalton, but I don't even think that's possible. I heard he was in team meetings today, but whatever. Either way, it doesn't matter. But Ben DiNucci will be starting behind that beat-up second-string offensive line for the Cowboys. Zeke Elliott is having trouble holding on to the football. Darius Slay absolutely owns number 1 receiver for them, Amari Cooper. And their defense has more holes than Swiss cheese. Okay? So the Birds, in my opinion, should have no issue winning this game, which clearly means, guys, it's going to come down to the wire like the Giants.
Oh, yeah.
But on a serious note, I'm looking for – there's 2 things. Carson, continue to progress with these receivers. He gets Jalen Reagor back this week. Jason Peters is supposed to be back this week. TJ Edwards on the defensive side is supposed to be back this week. So they are getting healthier going into the bye. That's huge. Look, there was a time during the season where even with Carson back there, you weren't sure. You weren't confident that he could win you a game. Now, the last 4 weeks, I'm confident in number 11. Not that I ever fully lost confidence, but there was a question he wasn't looking right with all the injuries. It's not looking right. I'm looking for him to progress. And Snap, you set it up perfectly with the defensive line because I love our defensive line. And I think they're one of the best in the league. They're deep. They're all talented. Brandon Graham at an older age is probably playing the best football of his entire career, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if this defensive line does not get home versus this Cowboys second-string offensive line and Ben DiNucci and cause problems for this kid, I don't want to hear another word about how great they are for the rest of the year. I don't care if they dominate 3 weeks after that. This is the game. Divisional game. You can take a vice grip hold on this division and on national television. You need to dominate this game. Because we know about it, guys. As Eagles fans, we know. Think about the Joe Webb game one of the only Tuesday night games ever previously before this season. Joe Webb comes to Philadelphia and dominates on national television. We've seen rookie quarterbacks that no one really knows about, play well against an Eagles defense, and I do not want to see any part of it because this Cowboys offense. Look, I don't know much about the kid. I'm assuming he can't really play. He didn't play well in a little bit of time against Washington. But, guys, they still have Zeke. They still have Gallup. They still have Cooper. They still have CeeDee Lamb. They still have weapons surrounding him. So, if they're getting open and this defensive line isn't getting pressure, anyone can deliver a ball to those receivers. So, this defensive line, I'm telling you, has to dictate and dominate on Sunday night.
I'll go first. I totally agree. Like you said, they're 3 deep at the receiver position that are all good receivers, and we're about 1.5 corners deep at the corner position. So, I mean, like you said, this kid didn't look good, and he's from James Madison University. So the defensive line has to make this kid just uncomfortable and just make this kid not want to even step back on the field. So, other than that, it's just – I don't see how you don't do that. They're so beat up on the offensive line, and I'm looking for 2 takeaways, 2 interceptions at least out of the secondary. We had 1 last week, right? 1. Jalen Mills got it.
Yeah, had 2 fumbles, right? Yeah.
So I need 2 picks. I do. That would be my goal for the defense.
Did Darius Slay get his first?
No.
Don't go that way. There's no.
I've called it every single week. He hasn't gotten it yet.
Still waiting for a pick 6 from him.
I don't think he's going to be a high pick guy because they just know they can't throw to whoever he's covering, really.
Agreed.
Yeah, this Cowboys offensive line is fucking terrible, to put it lightly. Like, it's absolutely horrible. So
that was lightly?
I mean, that's as late as I can go.
About as hard as it got.
But, I mean, the Eagles are averaging 3.5 sacks a game. Against this offensive line, I expect them to nonstop just get after this James Madison kid. Like, there's just no reason why they shouldn't. The defensive line is going to dictate this game. Like, if they can pressure this young kid, and if they can sack him and get him rattled, I just don't see how we lose this game. And that's why I'm so scared that we're going to lose this game. Because all around, like, defensively, the Cowboys are just – they put up 3 points against Washington last week. Like, watching that happen was just – it made me feel so confident about this week. The defensive line should absolutely rattle this kid, and it shouldn't even be hard for them. Like, no, not even close. So that's just what I think. I think the defensive line is going to dictate this whole game.
All right, we're all on board so far. Snap?
I agree with everyone's point. It is Dallas, and Dallas does just play us good. And, yeah, they gave up one to Washington, real bad loss. But, I mean, you could say the same thing about us on opening day. I mean, it's clearly not the same as the first game of the season. But Washington has played everyone good in the division so far, it seems like. And it didn't really boost my confidence because, Andy Dalton gets hurt. You have to throw in this nobody. But now you give him a little more time. And there's just one factor to this game that even though he hasn't been playing well this season – that you always have to worry about against us, and it's Zeke. I know the offensive line isn't good, and I know our defensive line is very good, but Zeke has had 1 game his whole career under 96 yards rushing against us. It's like he has more 100-yard games than he does under 100-yard games against us. That's like the only worry I have, because he's had a couple bad games in a row, and players like him, they don't do that very long. So if there's a game where I would be nervous about him snapping, regardless of the offensive line, it's this week. But again, Dallas hasn't really given me much to think that they're gonna really use him well, or that he's gonna play well, because of the offensive line being hurt. And McCarthy has looked awful. He just looks terrible. He doesn't look like he knows what he's doing coaching out there sometimes, especially last week where I think Zeke had 46 yards rushing. Like, it's like they're not even getting him involved, or maybe that comes down to the offensive line. But just to get to the point, I do see the Eagles winning this game, but the whole division's played us very well. Even the Giants, who we thought we were going to put 30 points up against and beat by possibly 2 scores, we just edged it out. So I can't just sit here and say, oh, yeah, like, we're going to beat Dallas, no problem. Like, I really don't. I really just can't say it.
I'll say, like, it's tough for me to think about how this offense isn't going to just run through Dallas. Like, Dallas is giving up close to 35 points a game. They're giving up close to, like, I think it's 408 yards per game. It's like they're absolutely Swiss cheese. Like, that's like what Dill said. Like, I just don't see this offense not being able to dominate. But like Snap said, division games are always tough, and it's been tough all year in the NFC East. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I think to Snap's point, it's a great point, because if Zeke gets cooking early, then that allows this rookie, nobody 7th-round pick to, have more time, less pressure. First of all, Jim Schwartz doesn't blitz ever. So if there's ever a week 2 blitz, it's this week. But if Zeke's cooking, then you really can't. I mean, you have to stack the box, but you're not going to be sending pressure after Ben DiNucci. So then that opens up the play action game for McCarthy, and then there's just a lot of issues I don't want with that. So, yeah, to Snap's point, you have to slow down Zeke, and it has to start from the jump.
The jump. If you're gonna beat this Dallas team, and you don't want them to linger around like the Giants did last week, and how basically Washington beat us, they got the jump on us and just didn't stop all game. I don't care that they put up 3 points last week. I really don't, because they have the weapons to be good. All it takes is a Zeke breakaway. He starts getting cooking early, and then next thing you know, this kid feels a little confident. They're still good wide receivers. And have we forgot that the middle of the field is really not that good? I know Nate Gary had a decent game. I know we've looked better in that department after last week, but like CeeDee Lamb is going to absolutely, like, if you can just throw the ball, CeeDee Lamb is going to be open.
Like, who's going to cover him? Nickel Roby-Coleman?
That's what I'm saying, dude.
I'm so excited for that signing, and he's been a dumpster fire all year. I don't really trust Phanatics.
Look at what Tyler Boyd's done. Look at what Cooper Kupp's done. Like, this kid is such a good route runner in the middle at the slot. Like, he's an absolute beast, and there's a reason they drafted him so high. Like, I think those are 2 big names you have to worry about, because if they can get it cooking in the middle of the field, and then they can start running the ball, because you have to worry about a guy like CeeDee Lamb. If you don't stop that early and just make sure you set the tone of the game early, Dallas is going to keep this game interesting. It's just a fact.
I'm not worried about Amari Cooper at all. The dude disappears in pressure moments, and Darius Slay owns him. But
teams with 2 wide receivers that we played this year, they
have 3. They have Gallup too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But teams with 3 wide receivers, we've seen it. Like the Bengals, the Bengals had a pretty fucking good game against us. And you also have to look at the Rams too. Rams have who's the other guy? Cooper Kupp. And who's the other guy? Cooks.
No, Robert Woods.
Robert Woods. That's right. Robert Woods is getting the attention from Slay, and then here comes Kupp. They don't have the same tight end as a Higbee type, but still, you just have to make sure you set this tone early. It is still a division game. It is still Dallas. It's still Zeke Elliott back there, and they still have weapons. Besides that, you start getting to the quarterback, and that defensive line does what that defensive line's done all year and really puts pressure on this kid. This kid's not going to know what the fuck to do. But he knows that, so there's probably going to be some early plays to run the ball to get it out of his hand so he doesn't get hit.
Yeah, and if there's a defensive coordinator that's not going to adjust to what the Cowboys are doing, believe me, it's Jim Schwartz.
Especially blitz, they should be blitzing early and often against this kid because this kid is so. I mean, this kid's probably
make him uncomfortable.
Experience as me.
Yeah, I'm with you. So let's get into our final thoughts and predictions for this Eagles game. Look, the Eagles did a couple things I was looking for last week. Like the defense got takeaways. They scored early and scored a touchdown on the first drive. Carson progressed, etc. But the offense also went stale for 2.5 quarters. I need to see a full 60-minute performance from this team. Look, obviously we're all going to be happy if the Eagles come out 3-4-1 and beat the Cowboys, right? Yeah. But I want you to go out and win convincingly. I know we're talking about it's hard to do because it's an NFC East game. It's the Cowboys. It's not going to be a walk in the park. But I need to see at least a convincing win, okay, from start to finish. I'm going Birds 34, Cowboys 17.
Love it. All right, I'm gonna get a little crazy here, but I'm going Birds 31, Cowboys 13. We kicked their ass on Sunday Night Football on national television. We're all probably gonna be at the bar or something. It's gonna be a good ass time. Birds by 1,000,000.
I can't watch the Birds at the bar.
Really?
I'm fading away from that too. I get too.
I'll be kicked out.
I get too drunk. I'm like drunk as shit by like the third, and I miss the whole game.
I usually rewatch during the week.
I'm
what I have to do every time. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, this is a whole fucking football game I have to watch. Like, I ain't got time for that.
Obviously, it'd be fun watching it with you guys, but I'm like the typical, like, in front of the TV. I don't miss a play. I scream at the TV. I'm business.
Total bad vibes.
Yeah, sure. I'm straight business when the Eagles are on. Like last Sunday, I went to the bar this past Sunday for football. Birds weren't on. This Sunday,
come on. I'll do that after the Birds. If they're 1:00 game, maybe I'll slide out like right after half or right at the halftime, so that way I'm not like too banged up, and that way like if the game's interesting at the end, I stay in it. But if the game starts slow and I'm drinking, like I'm gonna lose focus. I'm just gonna lose focus.
All right, we lost.
Oh yeah, but let's
lost there for a second.
Yeah. Let me. I'm going a little bit. I know we all went the blowout. We were convinced after Washington. I just don't fully see it there yet, and I'm gonna go 27-24 Eagles. It's gonna be closer than you think. There's gonna be a lot more scoring than I think people think. I think it's gonna be a battle. Like it's been all year for us. Like we really haven't had a decisive win all year. I'm still not convinced they can do it. I feel like most of the wins this year are going to be battles.
You're going under that 30-point range now, aren't you?
No, I'm never going over 30 points again with this team.
Again,
I'm going 35-10.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right.
I don't see it. This kid is. There's probably a better quarterback at Kutztown University than this kid. I can't think this kid gets in our end zone more than once at most, and I don't even think he'll get in. I think Zeke will get in, but I'll probably be wrong. We'll probably win on a game-winning field goal that Jake Elliott will somehow make. But for now, I'm going with it. 35-10 Eagles.
Fucking ride.
You have to look, dude. I had the Eagles doubling up on the Cowboys, and I have the second lowest point differential out of the 4 picks. You do it wild. That being said,
it just keeps coming back to Zeke for me, man. Like I know this offensive line's banged up. I'm factoring that in there, but like last 4 games against the Eagles, his worst game by far against the Eagles was last game for the season, 47 yards. Let's go the 4 games before that, he puts up 111, 113, 151, and 103. And that's not including receiving yards, which he had 37, 36, 79, 36, and 38. Like, it's just something to think about. I just want people to remember who, like, some of these weapons are. But let's all go Birds. I am confident they'll win. I just think it's going to be a lot closer.
All right. Let me get a drum roll. Snap. time for the picks. The Phaithful Phanatics pick here for you guys. So we'll start with Gin. Let me get your lock.
I need to go last.
Or are you so unprepared?
I'm prepared. Give me 1 second.
George, we'll
Not
start with your lock.
Yeah.
Wait, me?
You're George.
Oh,
Or George.
Oh, all right. Lock of the week. Let me just throw it out there.
He said you're
4-0 on the show the last 2 weeks, 5-1 the last 3 weeks. I'm just gonna say it. Bills minus 3.5 against the Pats. I feel like they're undervalued here just because of the 18-10 win against the Jets. But the Patriots aren't good. They're just not.
That, by the way.
Yeah, the Patriots aren't a good team. They just said they just announced that anybody's up for trade right now. I feel like Bills smack them around a little bit. I think minus 3.5 is undervaluing them. So Bills minus 3.5 against the Pats.
I want everyone out there to know that we talk pre-show, and George just takes what me and Gint say.
Just runs with it.
So he wants to throw out these records. We cost him these bones here on the Phaithful Phanatics, and that's why. Again, are you ready now? Or are you still
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. That was one of mine. I'm going to go with the other one, though. I'm going to go Tennessee minus 5.5.
Yeah, what he does, he steals picks down there.
Oh, down here?
Yeah.
Yo,
Oh,
listen,
yeah.
he wasn't even ready. He wasn't even ready for his lock.
Tennessee's gonna.
That is true.
Tennessee is gonna smoke the Bengals.
I completely agree. I love it.
Snap, you want to go last?
That bad loss last week.
Snap, you want to go last or you want to go now?
Yeah, I need to go last. I was 0-2 last week.
All right. I'm going to go with, look at me, I'm unprepared too.
I thought you were going to say, look at me, I'm taking the Eagles.
No. Actually, I know where I'm going. I'm going with the LA Rams minus 3.5 in Miami versus the Dolphins. I know it's 2 at a time. I know it's going to be something we're going to want to watch. I don't know why it was the time to do that for the Dolphins. They're 3-3, kind of a chance to stay in the mixed division. But whatever. I like the Rams. I think their defense gets home versus Tua, and they make it a rough debut for the rookie.
All right. I had my first bad week, really bad, 0-2. So I'm hoping to turn things around, and I'm taking a road favorite, which there's a lot this week, but I'm going New Orleans in Chicago. Saints, we've said it multiple times. This is the worst 5-1 team we've seen all year or possibly in our lives. I think this is the first taste of like true competition they're really going to have to go against. I think the Saints are going to get them. minus 4.5.
I'm on board. Let's get into the upset round. I want everyone to know real quick because George wants to throw records out around here. I got the dirtiest looks last week when I took the Cardinals outright.
Yeah.
First MVP of the league on Sunday night. And it happened. So listen to me.
Throw some respect on his name.
Not listening. George, we'll start with you.
All right. I've been going back and forth on this, but
Don't take mine.
all right, I'll try not to. Upset of the week, I feel like I'm gonna take it. Steelers +4. Ravens.
That's not mine.
Steelers +4 against the Ravens. I
said that before the show. God damn it!
I don't like a lot of underdogs this week necessarily, but I feel like if there's an underdog that can cover, it's definitely the Steelers. They've looked very good all year. They're definitely a top 5 team in football, not even arguable. So, and if Lamar does what Lamar does, they're down at half, then Steelers should win. Steelers +4.
You bastard.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Yes, you are next.
Thank you. Where was I? Oh, yeah.
This is what you get on the Phaithful Phanatics podcast.
This is again, for the second week, I'm taking this team as an underdog that I think are being so overlooked, and I'm taking the Detroit Lions +3 points against the Indianapolis Colts. Dude, I took them last week.
My 2 picks go back to back.
Yeah.
All right, I respect it. I don't think that happens, but I'll give it to you. All right.
F you.
Oh, here we go. I'm going with the Las Vegas Raiders
I like that.
over the Cleveland Browns.
I like that.
OBJ down for the year. Baker overhyped as always. Browns overhyped as always. Nick Chubb still on the IR.
Dude,
The Raiders will win out. Was that your pick, too?
all three of them. All three of them.
All right, Snap. We'll put you a minute and a half.
Fuck you, George. I'm still going Steelers plus 3.5. I don't care. I don't say fuck. I am not going on a losing record.
That's fine. The other underdogs are like it's weird.
Every other underdog is a loss. And well, no,
It's a Jets.
Sunday probably one in there, but no. Steelers are on a tear. Baltimore does not play good teams good. They don't play up to their competition. This team is good. The Steelers are good. They're going to beat the Ravens. God damn it, don't do that again to me. I can't believe you guys all took my picks.
Don't
First
go last.
couple on Phaithful Fanatic.
I had to go last. I was last week, and I went 0-2. I needed time to really think, and now I saw the lines this week, and I'm like, fuck.
All right, guys, we got a couple minutes left if we want. Any freestyle? We want to go back to
I think
I'll freestyle. JT Realmuto is not particularly keen about playing in New York. He said he would like to stay in Philadelphia. He's not going to get $200 million, so the Phillies just need to fucking win the bidding war for JT, and it's not hard. If his heart is in Philly and he doesn't want to play in New York particularly, you have to sign JT Realmuto. It has to happen.
It's not about his heart being in Philly.
It's
the wallet.
It's the money. I understand that, but
George, I'm with you. But here's the thing: we live in Philadelphia, right? And it's the part of the world that doesn't always make sense. So now that the Sixers have aced their offseason,
the Phillies are gonna shit.
The Phillies are gonna botch.
I fucking hope you're wrong.
You're wrong.
But listen, look, he wants to be here. Your $330 million franchise cornerstone wants him to be here.
Friends just went out to dinner with his family last week.
He's given market price. He's not. You're right. He's not getting $200 million from the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Phillies, nobody. Whatever his market price is, match it. Give a little bit, give around it. If he really wants to be here, he'll be here. Okay.
I will say, John Middleton. If your quote from a few years back when you said, I'm going to win us a World Series title, I'm going to bring us back a World Series title or die trying, if you were being serious about that, you're going to get off of your wallet.
I will help him die.
You're going to get off of your wallet this offseason, and you're going to spend some money on the bullpen. You're going to bring back JT, and you're going to figure this shit out because we rake. We know we rake.
You also have Big Arrieta off the books this year.
Yes, everything is looking up. This is the off season where you need to fucking
but we didn't make it out. Fans,
yeah,
we need to figure it out.
The pandemic hurt us all.
Damn, I want another.
I also want Didi back too.
I would love Didi back.
Yeah,
that glove at shortstop is just—it's amazing. You don't want to get rid of that.
A little more.
I'm also down to trade Gene Segura this offseason.
Why not?
Can I throw out something kind of radical?
Of course.
Yeah.
I think Washington has a chance to winning the division this year.
About the Washington football team?
Yes.
Come on now,
dude. Look at their schedules.
Kyle Allen.
They play the Giants next week or this week. They have the Lions after, probably a loss. Then they play the Bengals. Then they play the Cowboys. And then they got 3 tough games in a row. But then they play the Panthers and then us to finish the season. We still have the Cowboys, Giants, Browns, Seahawks, Packers, Saints, Cardinals, Cowboys, and Washington. It could be tight. It could be tighter than we think.
I think the Washington football team wins the NFC East. I will stop watching football.
I'll
fill up on everything right now. I
am aware that we look better now. I am aware we look a lot better now. They don't have anything figured out down there. I get it, but they're still second place. They're still only half game out, and they have probably just as hard, if not an easier schedule than us the rest of the way. I'm just saying.
Touché. But my thing is, as bad, they could win a few of those games, but at the same time, they're so bad, I could see them losing all but 1 or 2.
I mean, did anyone expect them to beat Dallas the way they did, though? Did anyone of them expect us to beat us the way they did?
No.
You didn't expect them to beat Dallas like that, because didn't you take Dallas last week?
I did. That's what I'm saying. Now I'm like flipping the script. Like they play the division well. I think they beat the Giants this week.
How about this? If the Redskins win the division, we'll all eat the hot chip and we'll try to do the podcast.
I'm down.
That would be a move. It's not going to happen.
I'm in.
I'm just saying it's a radical thought idea. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying like I was kind of like I looked at the standings earlier and I was like, oh, Washington's in second, like
Hanging around.
they're hanging in there. And then I like compared the schedules and I was like, oh, all right. I mean, I started going win by win and I was like, there's a chance Washington could win more games the rest of the season than us. And I'm just like, oh shit, like it might be tighter than we think. I'm just saying, like, I don't think they're going to, but I wouldn't be surprised if somehow they keep this interesting.
If I watch the Miami Marlins make the MLB postseason and win a series, and then turn around and have to watch the Washington football team make the postseason, I'll lose my mind. I'll lose all sense and touch of reality. I won't know what's real and what's not.
What's up?
With that being said, it's a Victory Thursday. The Sixers continue to kill their offseason. It's Dallas week. Go Birds. And the Phaithful Fanatics will be dropping a special announcement within the week. So keep an eye on our Twitter and our social media for that. Have a good night. And again, go Birds.
Go Birds.